Sometimes the worst betrayal comes from those you trust the most, and these aren't just cheating stories, this is my reality. My wife, whom I loved with all my heart, became for me an example of what a real cheating wife is. And you know what? This wasn't just a cheating wife, this was a woman who destroyed everything in one night on Ibiza. My name is Thomas, I'm 32 years old, and I work in law enforcement in Newark. My job isn't just a profession, it's a calling. Every day, I go out on the city streets to protect people, catch criminals, and maintain order. It's demanding work that requires complete dedication and unwavering focus. I've been with the Newark Police Department for 8 years now, starting as a regular patrol officer and working my way up to detective. The streets of Newark are tough. We deal with everything from petty theft to organized crime. But I love my job because I felt like I was making a difference, protecting the innocent and bringing justice to those who deserved it. Nicole, my, now ex-wife, worked as an editor at a local publishing house. We met 4 years ago at a book fair where she was presenting a fresh edition of detective novels. The irony of fate, right? An editor of detective stories and a real cop. I remember that day vividly. She was standing at a booth, passionately discussing the latest thriller they'd published, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. She wore a navy blue dress that complemented her brown hair perfectly, and when she laughed at something a visitor said, I knew I had to talk to her. Our first conversation lasted 3 hours. We stood there at the fair, people walking around us, but we were completely absorbed in our discussion. She told me about her passion for crime fiction, how she loved finding new talented authors and helping them shape their stories. I shared some real cases from my work, carefully edited to protect confidentiality, of course, and she was fascinated. She said I should write a book someday. I laughed and said if I ever did, she'd have to be my editor. We started dating a week later. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant in downtown Newark. Nicole ordered pasta carbonara, and I got the lasagna. We talked about everything, our childhoods, our dreams, our fears. She grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, came to Newark for college, and fell in love with the city's energy. I was born and raised in Newark, couldn't imagine living anywhere else. Despite our different backgrounds, we connected on a deep level. Our first 3 years of marriage were like a fairy tale. Every Saturday, we cooked breakfast together. Nicole loved making blueberry pancakes, and I'd brew coffee in a French press we bought together during our first trip to Philadelphia. That trip was special. We spent the weekend walking through historic streets, visiting the Liberty Bell, eating cheese steaks, and just enjoying each other's company. On our last evening there, we found this little antique shop, and Nicole fell in love with that French press. It was vintage, copper-colored, and she said it was perfect. I bought it for her without hesitation. Back in Newark, those Saturday morning breakfasts became our ritual. We could sit for hours on our apartment balcony, watching the summer sky of Newark, discussing everything under the sun, from politics to our favorite shows, from work stories to plans for the future. Our apartment was on the 8th floor of a building near Branch Brook Park, and we had a beautiful view of the park's cherry blossom trees. In spring, when they bloomed, it was absolutely breathtaking. Nicole was a smart, energetic woman with a sharp sense of humor. She could make me laugh even after the toughest workday. Her laugh was infectious, this genuine, full-bodied sound that made everyone around smile. She had this way of finding humor in everyday situations, of making even mundane moments special. When I came home stressed from work, she'd greet me with a glass of wine and that mischievous smile that said she had a story to tell. I remember one incident last spring that really stood out. We were chasing a group of thieves who'd been robbing cars all over Newark for weeks. It was a complex case. These guys were professionals, knew how to avoid cameras, worked quickly and efficiently. My partner Howard and I had been working on it for 3 weeks straight, putting in overtime, following leads that often went nowhere. Finally, we got a break, a witness who saw their van and remembered part of the license plate. The chase happened on a rainy Tuesday evening. We spotted their van near the Ironbound district and pursued them through Newark streets. These guys were reckless, running red lights, weaving through traffic. The chase lasted almost 2 hours, going from Newark into neighboring towns and back. My adrenaline was pumping, but I also felt this weight of responsibility. We couldn't let them get away, but we also couldn't endanger civilians. Finally, we cornered them in an abandoned parking lot near the airport. They tried to run on foot, but we had backup by then. We arrested all 4 of them, recovered stolen property worth over $50,000. It was a good bust, but I came home absolutely exhausted, physically drained, and emotionally spent from the tension. Nicole met me at the door with a glass of red wine and that knowing look in her eyes. She led me to the couch, had me lie down, and gave me the most incredible shoulder massage. While she worked out the knots in my muscles, she told me this hilarious story about her crazy author who'd woken up from a dream and decided the entire ending of his novel needed to be rewritten. The publisher wasn't happy, deadlines were approaching, and Nicole had to mediate between the stubborn artist and the frustrated business people. He kept saying art cannot be rushed, she mimicked in an exaggerated voice, and I couldn't help but laugh despite my exhaustion. And the publisher kept saying contracts must be honored. Like they were in some Shakespearean drama, instead of arguing about a zombie apocalypse novel. That was Nicole. She could take my mind off the darkness of my job, remind me that life was more than just criminals and victims, that there was beauty and humor and love in the world. We often spent evenings with friends. Philip and Angelica were our favorite couple for gatherings. Philip worked as a massage therapist at a prestigious spa center in downtown Newark, and we met him before my wedding. He was my best friend from a police academy. Yes, the irony again, a police officer and a massage therapist, but our friendship was solid. We'd gone through the academy together, though he decided law enforcement wasn't for him after graduation. He wanted to help people in a different way. He said, help them relax and heal rather than chase down the bad guys. I respected his choice. Philip was good at what he did. He had this natural empathy, these healing hands, and a calm demeanor that put people at ease. His spa was high-end, catering to Newark's elite, business people, athletes, even some minor celebrities. He made good money and seemed happy with his career choice. Angelica, his girlfriend of 2 years, worked at a travel agency called Wanderlust Adventures in Newark's business district. She was this vibrant, enthusiastic woman who loved exploring the world and helping others do the same. She'd been to over 30 countries, had stories from every continent, and her passion for travel was infectious. She and Philip seemed perfect together, both in the business of making people feel good, both optimistic and energetic. The four of us became close friends quickly. We'd have dinner parties, game nights, go to concerts together. Nicole and Angelica bonded over their love of reading and trying new restaurants. Philip and I would watch football together, debate about everything from politics to the best pizza in Newark. We felt like family. It was Angelica who suggested the Ibiza trip this summer. We were having dinner at her and Philip's place in late April when she brought it out. Guys, this will be unforgettable. Angelica said excitedly, showing us photos on her tablet of white beaches and legendary nightclubs on the island. The images were stunning. Crystal clear turquoise water, pristine sand, ancient architecture mixed with modern party venues. I can get us an amazing deal through the agency. We could rent a villa, split the costs, spend a week in paradise. Nicole was thrilled with the idea, and honestly, so was I. Working in law enforcement in Newark during summer was hell. The heat, crime rates rose, people became more aggressive. Domestic disputes increased, gang activity intensified, and we were constantly understaffed because officers took their vacations. I desperately needed a break. The job was starting to wear on me in ways I hadn't anticipated. I was sleeping poorly, having stressed dreams about cases, bringing the darkness of work home more than I should. We started planning immediately. Angelica handled all the bookings. She got us flights from Newark to Barcelona, then a short hop to Ibiza. She found this incredible villa near San Antonio, big enough for 2 couples with separate bedrooms, a pool, and an ocean view. The price was reasonable when split 4 ways, and we were all excited. The months leading up to the trip, Nicole seemed happier than ever. She'd talk about Ibiza constantly, what clothes she'd pack, what clubs we'd visit, what beaches we'd explore. She bought new swimsuits, summer dresses, sandals. I loved seeing her so excited. Our marriage felt strong, our love felt real. We flew out to Ibiza in mid-July. The flight from Newark to Barcelona took about 8 hours, then another short hour to Ibiza. It was a long journey, but worth it. When we landed and felt that warm Mediterranean breeze, all fatigue disappeared. The air smelled different, salt and flowers, and something exotic I couldn't quite place. The sun was brighter, the sky bluer than anything I'd seen in Newark. We rented a car at the airport and drove to our villa. The drive itself was beautiful, winding roads with ocean views, white buildings with blue shutters, palm trees swaying in the breeze. When we arrived at the villa, we were blown away. The photos hadn't done it justice. It was gorgeous, traditional Spanish architecture with modern amenities, a gorgeous infinity pool overlooking the sea, terraces with comfortable furniture, and bedrooms with huge beds and luxurious linens. "This is paradise," Nicole whispered, standing on our bedroom balcony, looking out at the Mediterranean. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, kissed her neck, and agreed. In that moment, everything felt perfect. The first few days were ideal. We'd wake up late, have leisurely breakfasts on the terrace, fresh fruit, pastries from a local bakery, strong Spanish coffee. Then we'd head to the beach. Ibiza has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and we explored different ones each day. The water was incredibly clear. You could see fish swimming around your feet. The sand was soft and white, perfect for lounging. We'd swim, sunbathe, read books, just relax. Nicole looked stunning in her new bikinis, her skin turning golden in the Spanish sun. We'd laugh together, splash each other in the waves like teenagers. Philip and Angelica were equally carefree, Angelica taking hundreds of photos, Philip showing off with impressive dives off rocks. Afternoons, we'd return to the villa for siestas. The Spanish tradition made sense in that heat. We'd nap, make love, shower, then prepare for evenings out. We'd find local restaurants for dinner, places recommended by locals, not tourist traps. We ate the freshest seafood I'd ever tasted, drank sangria and local wines, tried traditional Spanish dishes. Philip, who was adventurous with food, would order things like octopus and sea urchin. Nicole stuck to safer choices, grilled fish, paella, salads with local tomatoes that tasted nothing like the ones back home. After dinner, we head to the clubs. Ibiza is famous for its nightlife, and we experienced it fully. Pasha Amnesia Ushuaia, we hit all the legendary spots. The music was incredible, world-class DJs playing sets that made your whole body vibrate. The crowds were international, people from every corner of the globe united by music and joy. The energy was electric, unlike anything in Newark's club scene. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click like if you enjoy this story. I always read your comments and analyze which stories you like best so that I can create better stories. Thank you. I will continue the story. We dance until dawn, drink cocktails with exotic names, lose ourselves in the music and lights. Nicole was radiant, she loved dancing, and in those clubs, she came alive. Her body moved to the rhythm effortlessly, her smile never fading. I'd watch her dance and feel so lucky that this beautiful, vibrant woman was my wife. But on the fifth day, I hit a wall. If you think that after 3 consecutive nights in clubs until 6 in the morning, a 32-year-old cop will feel fresh, you're wrong. My body was used to early rising and regular schedules, not this madness. I was exhausted, my feet hurt, my ears were ringing from the loud music, and I just needed rest. "Listen, I'm sitting tonight out," I said during dinner that evening at a beachfront restaurant. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful, but I could barely keep my eyes open. "I just want to rest, maybe watch some soccer, at the bar near the villa." Nicole looked disappointed for a moment, her face falling slightly, but she quickly smiled. "That's okay, honey. We'll go as 3. You sure you don't mind?" I asked, feeling a bit guilty for breaking up our group. "Of course not," she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "You work hard all year. You need rest. We'll tell you all about it tomorrow." And they left. Nicole, Philip, and Angelica headed out to another club, and I stayed at the villa, enjoying the silence and a cold beer. I sat by the pool, watching stars appear in the darkening sky, listening to crickets chirp. It was peaceful. I felt the tension leaving my body, my mind quieting for the first time in days. Around 1 in the morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Angelica. "Thomas, sorry, but I'm exhausted too. Heading back to the villa. Your wife and Philip are staying a bit longer." I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? Philip was my best friend since the academy days. We'd been through hell together during training, the physical challenges, the psychological stress, the moments when we questioned if we could make it. He'd always had my back. And Nicole was my wife, my partner, the woman I'd pledged my life to. What could possibly happen? Angelica returned around 2 in the morning. She looked tired but happy. We chatted briefly on the terrace. She told me about the club, the amazing DJ, the wild dancers. Then she yawned and said she needed sleep. I wished her good night and stayed up a bit longer, finishing my beer, enjoying the solitude. I went to bed around 3, but couldn't sleep. Something felt off, though I couldn't pinpoint what. It wasn't worry exactly, just this vague unease. I tossed and turned, checked my phone several times. No messages from Nicole. I told myself she was fine having fun, being safe with Philip. Around 5 in the morning, I heard the villa door open quietly. Nicole entered, trying not to make noise. I heard her footsteps in the hallway, the bathroom door closing, water running. I pretended to be asleep when she slipped into our bed. She smelled like alcohol, cigarette smoke, and something else, cologne maybe? Not mine. I dismissed it. Clubs were smoky, crowded. People bumped into each other. It meant nothing. The next day, she acted a bit strange, avoided my gaze, seemed distant, distracted. When I asked how the night was, she gave short answers. Fun. Good music. Crazy crowd. Not her usual detailed storytelling. But I attributed it to a hangover and fatigue. We'd all been partying hard. It made sense. The rest of the vacation passed calmly, but something had shifted. Nicole was less open, less affectionate. When I tried to initiate intimacy, she made excuses. Too tired, too full from dinner, too sunburned. Small rejections that stung, but didn't alarm me yet. I figured the vacation pace had worn her out, that we'd reconnect once we were home. The flight back to Newark was quiet. We were all exhausted, slightly sunburned, already missing the Mediterranean paradise. But I was also looking forward to normalcy, my own bed, familiar routines, getting back to work. When we returned to Newark, that coldness from Nicole didn't disappear, it intensified. My wife, this cheating wife, as I later discovered, started avoiding social events with friends. When I suggested going to a movie or dinner with Philip and Angelica, she found 1,000 reasons to refuse. I have a deadline at work. I don't feel well. Maybe another time. It went on for weeks, and I started feeling that something was seriously wrong. As a law enforcement officer, I was trained to notice details, read people, see through lies. And Nicole was lying. It was obvious in her body language, her evasive eyes, her sudden need to work late hours that had never been necessary before. She'd come home from work later than usual, always with explanations about editorial meetings, manuscript emergencies, difficult authors. She'd be on her phone constantly, texting, then quickly putting it away when I entered the room. She started sleeping on her side of the bed, maintaining distance, no longer reaching for me in the night like she used to. Our conversations became superficial. We talked about groceries, bills, household chores. But the deeper connection, the intimacy we'd shared, discussing dreams, fears, hopes, vanished. It was like living with a polite stranger who happened to share my apartment. I tried talking to her about it several times. Is everything okay? I'd ask. You seem distant. I'm fine, she'd say. Just stressed about work. Is it us? Are we okay? Of course. I love you. I'm just busy. But her I love you sounded hollow, automatic, like a phrase she'd memorized rather than felt. One evening, when she was in the shower, I did something I'd never done before. I took her phone. The password I knew. It was our wedding date. How ironic, right? The date we promised to love and cherish each other forever was the key to discovering her betrayal. My hand shook as I unlocked it. Part of me hoped I wouldn't find anything, that my suspicions were just paranoia from a stressful job. But another part of me, the detective part, knew I'd find something. The signs were all there. I opened Instagram first. Nothing unusual in the main feed, photos of food, books, sunsets, the typical stuff. Her direct messages with colleagues, friends, her mother, all normal. But then I saw Philip's name. My best friend. My heart rate increased as I clicked. The conversation went back months. Casual stuff at first. How are you? Good, you? Generic friend chat. But then scrolling to messages from early August, right after we returned from Ibiza, I saw it. I can't stop thinking about that night, Nicole had written. Me neither. But it was a mistake. We can't continue this, Philip responded. I know. Thomas must never find out. Angelica either. I felt physically sick. My vision blurred. This couldn't be real. But I kept reading, my hands trembling. They discussed that night on Ibiza in detail. How they'd danced together after Angelica left. How Philip had bought Nicole some exotic cocktail at a beach bar. How they'd walked on the beach to look at stars. How they'd kissed. How things had progressed. It felt so wrong but so right, Nicole had written. I know. I've never felt chemistry like that. But Thomas is my best friend. I betrayed him. I betrayed my husband. What's wrong with us? We were drunk. It was a mistake. But I can't forget it. Can you? No. But we have to try. We can't ruin everything for one night. One night. One goddamn night destroyed everything. My marriage, my friendship, my trust. Everything. I took screenshots of everything, every message, every confession, every detail. I sent them to my personal email, then deleted any trace of my snooping, and put her phone back exactly where I'd found it. When Nicole came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, I was sitting on the couch pretending to watch TV. She kissed my cheek, a casual, meaningless gesture, and went to the bedroom to get dressed. I sat there, my mind racing, emotions swirling. Anger, hurt, betrayal, disbelief. The next few days were the hardest of my life. I continued living normally, went to work, talked with Nicole, even laughed at her jokes. But inside, everything was burning. Every smile from her felt like a knife. Every "I love you" sounded like mockery. Every touch made my skin crawl. At work, I was distracted. Howard, my partner, noticed. "You okay, man?" he asked during a stakeout. "You seem off." "Just tired," I lied. "It's more than that. I've known you 8 years. Talk to me." But I couldn't. Not yet. I wasn't ready to make it real by saying it out loud. I couldn't confront them immediately. I needed a plan. As a law enforcement officer, I knew emotions were bad advisors. I needed strategy, clear thinking. Confronting them in anger would give them the upper hand. They'd make excuses, gaslight me, possibly manipulate the situation. I spent several days thinking, planning. Part of me wanted revenge, spectacular, devastating revenge. They'd hurt me, betrayed me, lied to my face for months. They deserved to suffer. But another part of me just wanted truth, closure, and to move on with dignity. Finally, I decided to talk to Angelica first. She knew nothing, that was obvious from the messages. She was innocent in this, a victim like me. We met at a coffee shop near my precinct on a Wednesday afternoon. I'd told her I needed to discuss something important, and she'd agreed immediately, concerned. "Thomas, what's going on? You sounded serious on the phone," she said as we sat down with our coffees. "Angelica, I need to show you something," I said, pulling out my phone with the screenshots. "I'm sorry to do this, but you deserve to know." I handed her the phone. She started reading, confusion on her face at first. Then, as understanding dawned, her expression changed, shock, then hurt, then anger. Color drained from her face. Her hands started shaking. This can't be true," she whispered. "I wish it wasn't. But it is. And now the question is, what do we do about it?" Angelica started crying, but these weren't tears of weakness. This was pure, burning anger. Her whole body tensed. "I'll kill him," she whispered through clenched teeth. "No. We'll do better. We'll show them what it feels like to lose everything." And we started planning. If you think we'd just kick them out and divorce, you're wrong. Angelica had access to Philip's work computer. She knew he kept personal files there, photos, documents, everything. Among these files was his client database, rich, influential people from Newark who trusted him with their bodies and secrets. "He has information there that could destroy him professionally," Angelica said, her voice hard. "Some clients, let's just say they wouldn't want anyone knowing about their visits to a massage therapist." I understood what she meant. In the massage world, some clients sought more than muscle relaxation. If this information fell into wrong hands. But I stopped myself. I was a cop. I couldn't engage in blackmail or leak personal information. That would be criminal. "No," I said firmly. "We won't do that. But there's another way." My plan was simpler but more effective. I'd organize a dinner for all 4 of us, me, Nicole, Philip, and Angelica. I'd say I wanted to celebrate something important. They'd come unsuspecting. Nicole would even cook her signature apple pie. Philip would bring wine. We'd sit at the table, laugh, reminisce about Ibiza. And then I'd drop the bomb. I sent out the invitation via group text. "Dinner at our place Saturday night. I have something special to celebrate. Don't miss it." They all accepted enthusiastically. Nicole even seemed excited, asking what we were celebrating. I just smiled mysteriously and said she'd find out. The days leading up to Saturday felt surreal. I watched Nicole prepare for the dinner, shopping for ingredients, planning the menu, cleaning the apartment. She seemed genuinely happy, like old times. It was almost enough to make me doubt what I knew. Almost. Philip texted me Thursday, "Looking forward to Saturday, buddy. It's been too long since we all hung out properly." The hypocrisy was staggering. My best friend, the man who'd stood beside me at my wedding, who'd celebrated my happiest moments, had slept with my wife and was now acting like everything was normal. Saturday arrived. Nicole spent the afternoon cooking, her famous apple pie, a roasted chicken with herbs, roasted vegetables, a salad. The apartment smelled wonderful. She wore a pretty dress, did her makeup, was humming while she cooked. I watched her and felt this profound sadness. This woman I'd loved, who I'd built a life with, was a stranger. Philip and Angelica arrived at 7. Angelica's eyes met mine briefly, a moment of understanding, of shared pain and purpose. Then her face became neutral, friendly. She was a good actress. Philip hugged me. "Good to see you, man. What's this big celebration?" "Patience," I said, smiling. "Let's eat first." We sat at the table. The conversation flowed easily, work stories, plans for fall, complaining about Newark's summer heat finally breaking. Nicole served the food. Philip poured wine. We toasted to friendship, to good times, to Ibiza. "That vacation was incredible," Philip said, grinning. "Best trip ever." "Oh yes," Nicole agreed, smiling at me. "Unforgettable. Truly unforgettable," I said and pulled out my phone. So unforgettable that some of us can't forget even specific nights. I opened the screenshots of their conversation and placed the phone on the table, screen facing them. The silence was deafening. Nicole froze, fork halfway to her mouth. Philip went pale, his wine glass trembling in his hand. "Thomas." Nicole started, her voice barely a whisper. "No," I interrupted, my voice calm, cold. "Now I speak. You know what's funniest? Not that you cheated. Not that you, my cheating wife, and my best friend slept together. But that you continued pretending everything was normal. You sat at this table with me, looked me in the eyes, and lied." Angelica stood up and walked to Philip. For a moment, I thought she might hit him. Instead, she picked up her wine glass and poured it over his head. "You bastard," she said quietly, her voice shaking with rage. "Angelica, wait." He started, wine dripping down his face. "I've known for a week," she said. "And you know what? I've packed all your things and left them outside our apartment door. You can pick them up whenever." Philip sat there, stunned, red wine staining his white shirt. Nicole looked at me with hope in her eyes, hope that I might forgive, that we might work through this somehow. "Thomas, I can explain everything," she said, tears forming. "There's nothing to explain," I replied. "Tomorrow morning I'm filing for divorce. The apartment is in my name, so you need to find another place to live. You have 2 weeks to pack your things." "But I love you," she whispered, tears streaming down her face now. "Maybe you do, but that's not enough. You destroyed trust. And without trust, marriage is just paper." Philip tried to salvage something. "Thomas, we were both drunk. It was an accident." "An accident?" I laughed bitterly. "An accident is when you trip and fall. What you did was a choice. You chose your momentary pleasure over our relationships. Now live with it." The dinner ended quickly. Philip and Nicole left, leaving Angelica and me alone. "What will you do?" she asked. "Move on with my life," I said. "You?" "The same." The following months were difficult. Divorce proceedings are always painful, even when both parties agree. Nicole tried to talk to me, explain, ask for another chance. But I was resolute. The most interesting part came later. It turned out that after our confrontation, Philip and Nicole tried starting a relationship. Logical, right? If they destroyed 2 relationships for each other, why not try? But it lasted only a month. Turns out their passion was just the forbidden fruit effect and alcohol. When they found themselves alone, without secrets and adrenaline, there was nothing between them. Howard, my work partner, asked me once, "Dude, how are you? How are you handling all this?" "You know what, Howard?" I answered. "I lost a wife and a best friend. But instead, I learned who they really were. And that's the most valuable lesson I could have received." A year passed. Nicole found new housing, a new job at another publishing house. Philip moved to a neighboring city. His reputation in Newark was ruined after Angelica told mutual friends about the betrayal. I met Miranda. She works as a lawyer and has an amazing sense of humor. We've been dating for 6 months now, and though I'm not ready for marriage yet, I feel I can trust again. Angelica also found someone new, Gary, an architect with a kind heart and honest eyes. Sometimes I think about that summer in Ibiza, about how one night can change everything, about how people you love can betray you. But I also think that Nicole's betrayal saved me from greater pain in the future. Better to learn the truth now than live another 10 years in lies. You know what's funniest? Nicole recently sent me a message. She asked if we could meet and talk. Said she understood her mistake, that I was the best thing that ever happened to her. I didn't respond. Not because I'm still angry, but because I simply don't care. She became part of my past, and I have no intention of going back there. My law enforcement work taught me that justice doesn't always come quickly, but it always comes. Nicole lost a husband who truly loved her. Philip lost his best friend and reputation. And me? I lost illusions but found myself. And that, friends, is the best revenge, simply living happily without those who betrayed you. Thank you for watching this video. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new, interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.